Family, stop scrolling because what I'm about to tell you is not just another messy Love and Marriage Huntsville updates, the kind of scandal that makes you clutch your phone tighter and whisper, "No way. Did she really just say that?" Imagine this. Martell Holt, a man who has thrived off chaos like it's oxygen, finally gets hit with a plot twist he never saw coming, not from Melody, not from the internet trolls, not even from Carlos King, but from his own mother. Martell Holt. Yes, the woman who has defended him through every cheating rumor, every Instagram meltdown, every courtroom drama, has now allegedly drawn a line so bold that the internet is calling it the end of Martell's free pass. And here's the kicker. This bombshell isn't about custody battles. It isn't about Melody's glow. And it isn't even about the endless back and forth with Arionne Curry. Oh no. This is about Martell herself slamming the brakes on any idea of Martell ever marrying Arionne. Think about that for a second. If your own mother goes on record saying, absolutely not, how bad does it have to be? Instagram's on fire, Twitter is screaming in all caps, and YouTube streets are calling it the mother of all betrayals. So buckle up, family, because by the time you hear what Martell had to say, you'll be asking yourself the same question. Is this the final nail in Martell Holt's reality TV coffin? When it comes to messy scandals in reality television, very few names ignite as much controversy as Martell Holt. And now with his mother Martell stepping into the spotlight, the entire dynamic has shifted into something far darker and more sensational than anyone expected. Because this is not just about a son making mistakes or a mother defending him. This is about a family unraveling in front of millions of people who cannot stop watching and talking about it. And the reason it is so explosive is that Martell, who once stood like a fortress around Martell, is now allegedly saying she will never support a marriage between her son and Arionne Curry, the woman who has been tied to his scandals for years and who is often portrayed as the very chaos in his life and family. Viewers are stunned because Martell has always been his safety net, always brushing aside criticism, always telling people Martell is simply being Martell, but now she has apparently reached a breaking point, and that breaking point is shaking social media to its core. People are asking why, after years of defending her son through infidelity accusations, court fights, and embarrassing public meltdowns, Martell would suddenly cut the cord, and the whispers are getting louder that she has seen enough of Arionne's disruptive influence and refuses to allow her son to tie himself permanently to that storm through marriage. And this is where the scandal becomes layered, because the internet is now digging into old clips, interviews, and behind-the-scenes gossip, trying to trace when exactly Martelle's loyalty began to crack. Some say it started when she noticed Martell slipping further away from stability after his divorce with Melody Cherie, while others insist it was the never-ending chaos brought by Arionne's late-night social media rants that embarrassed not just Martell but his entire family. And still others argue that Martell has simply grown tired of defending a man who refuses to defend himself against his own self-destruction. Whatever the trigger, the fallout is enormous, and it is feeding the rumor mills like gasoline on fire, because Martell's identity has always been wrapped up in his women. His mother defending him, his wife protecting the household, his mistress fueling the gossip, and now with all three of those pillars collapsing, the image of Martell Holt as the untouchable headline generator is beginning to fracture in real time, and fans are loving every second of it. But not just fans, the so-called anonymous insiders who claim to have connections to production are whispering that Martelle's statement was not off the cuff but a deliberate refusal to play the enabler any longer. One supposed crew member even said that Martell told producers she would not sit on camera and pretend to support Martell's decisions when she believed those decisions were destroying both his image and his family. And if that is true, it means this was not just motherly frustration, but a calculated moment of truth, designed to send a shockwave across the entire show and family. It worked, because the moment it aired, Twitter timelines turned into war zones. Instagram Lives were clogged with people replaying her words, and YouTube commentators immediately branded it the betrayal of the century. Think about it. Martell has been through years of public dragging, from Melody to the Scotts to every fan with a keyboard, but he always had his mother standing by ready to wave it off. Now that Lifeline has snapped, and the psychological impact of that is enormous, because who are you if even your own mother says she cannot stand beside you? And here is the other layer that makes this even juicier. Marlene did not just distance herself, she reportedly contrasted Melody and Arionne on camera, saying, "Melody brought strength and order, while Arionne brought chaos and disruption." And when a mother makes that comparison publicly, she is choosing sides, and it is the one choice Martell never expected, because in his world, his mother was supposed to defend him blindly, no matter the cost. Yet in that instant, the cost became too high for Marlene, and it left Martell visibly shaken to the point of silence. And that silence was perhaps more shocking than anything else, because Martell Holt, the man who will usually rush to Instagram Live to clap back or posture, suddenly had nothing to say. No rebuttal, no shade, no bravado. Just quiet. And in the world of reality television, where silence screams louder than words, that was devastating for his image. Fans are now speculating that Martell is spiraling privately, because if Arionne is his partner, but his mother disapproves, and Melody has moved on, and the rest of the cast smells blood, then Martell has nowhere to turn and no one to shield him from the backlash. It is like watching a king stripped of his crown on his own throne room floor. And what makes this even more deliciously scandalous is that the cameras are still rolling, and the story is still unfolding, which means this is not the climax. It is only the beginning of the storm that Marlene's words have unleashed on her son's world, and no amount of fancy suits or Instagram posing can cover up the reality that the one woman who mattered most in his corner has finally drawn a line. What followed after Marlene's bold refusal to support a marriage between Martell and Arionne was an avalanche of reactions that made it clear this scandal was not going to die down quickly, and instead was only gaining momentum, because every corner of social media had something to say, and every opinion seemed sharper than the last, as though people had been waiting for years for the day Arlene would finally take a stand against her son's reckless behavior. And now that the moment had come, the floodgates burst wide open, and the commentary was relentless, with fans calling it justice served, while critics dissected every word as if they were analyzing a presidential speech. The narrative quickly formed that Martell had officially lost his final shield, and without Marlene's protective wall, he was left exposed to the storm. And the timing could not be worse, because insiders are claiming that the Scousters of Love and Marriage Huntsville were already frustrated with Martell's unwillingness to evolve his storyline beyond recycled conflicts with Melody and Arionne, which meant this twist gave them the perfect opportunity to pivot the spotlight onto Marlene's perspective, and possibly onto Melody's redemption arc, which has fans buzzing that the producers themselves may be quietly encouraging Marlene's stance, because it injects fresh drama into a show that thrives on unexpected betrayal and family implosion. And if that speculation is true, then Martell is not only fighting with his mother, but he is also in danger of losing control of his own narrative on a show that once revolved entirely around him. People are even joking that Carlos King is somewhere sipping champagne, watching it all play out while counting ratings, because television gold like this cannot be scripted. And speaking of ratings, the numbers are allegedly soaring, because audiences are not just invested in the drama. They are treating it like a cultural event, with group chats lighting up, memes spreading like wildfire, and even parody accounts popping up mocking Martell's silence, and Arionne's late-night cryptic posts where she insists she is done letting things slide, which only fuels speculation that she too is preparing to lash out directly at Marlene in some unfiltered rant. The stage is being set for a three-way showdown between mother, ex, wife, and current partner, with Martell trapped in the middle. And if that sounds like the stuff of Shakespearean tragedy, it is because this scandal is playing out with the same intensity, betrayal, and downfall that make people obsessed with watching a public figure crumble under the weight of his own decisions. And yet, as dramatic as all this seems, the whispers behind the scenes are even more damaging, because anonymous sources are claiming that Marlene has been telling close friends she worries that Martell is beyond saving, and that aligning himself with Arionne permanently would be like pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. One so-called insider even leaked that Marlene fears financial ruin could follow if Martell continues to burn bridges with Melody, who remains his co-parent and business rival, while also dragging himself deeper into conflict with Arionne, who seems incapable of staying off social media. When things get ugly, and the mere suggestion that Martell's own mother doubts his future stability has fans convinced that this saga may not just be a storyline for television, but could spill into real-life consequences, ranging from failed ventures to custody, disputes worsened by the public image of a man who cannot even keep his mother's trust. And that idea has amplified the drama to another level, because suddenly the show is no longer entertainment. It is being treated like a cautionary tale of what happens when arrogance, pride, and scandal finally come home to roost. Martell's silence in all of this only deepens the mystery, because usually he is quick to counterattack, to post selfies or go live ranting about his side of the story. But the fact that he has remained motionless in the digital world has people convinced he is either plotting a calculated comeback or too crushed to respond at all. And the latter is a possibility many fans believe, because the look on his face when Marlene delivered her quiet but devastating statement was the look of a man who had just realized the spotlight is no longer his safe place, but a mirror exposing every crack in his persona. The image of Martell, once untouchable, now fragile, is what has everyone locked in, because if a man who built his entire brand on control and bravado can lose his footing in one simple sentence from his mother, then perhaps the empire he created was never as strong as he wanted us to believe. And that realization is turning the entire scandal into something bigger than reality television. It is becoming a cultural conversation about family loyalty, the limits of forgiveness, and the inevitable fall that comes when pride blinds you to the truth staring you in the face. As the dust of Marlene's shocking rejection continued to spread across the internet, the fallout began to reveal just how deep the cracks in Martell's world had grown. Because now it was no longer just a matter of family disapproval, but whispers of larger consequences began swirling, with talk of potential legal headaches looming on the horizon, and speculations of financial collapse circling his ventures like vultures hungry for the next scandal to feast on. Insiders are claiming that sponsors connected to Martell's business interests are quietly reconsidering their deals, fearing that aligning with a man at war with his own family could damage their brands in a culture where public image is everything, and nothing is deadlier than being branded unstable. The word unstable itself has been thrown around so often lately in connection to Martell that it has practically become his middle name. And it is not just the public or his critics pushing that narrative. Even those who once called themselves friends are allegedly distancing themselves, claiming they cannot risk being caught in the blast radius of his downfall. The irony is that Martell has always projected himself as the ultimate man in control, a sharp dresser, a smooth talker, a builder of homes and dreams. Yet here he is, unable to build peace in his own household. And that hypocrisy is what many viewers are seizing on as the ultimate twist in his saga. People are starting to ask if Marlene's refusal is not just a personal opinion, but also a warning shot to the world that she will not co-sign chaos any longer. Because, let's be honest, family ties can withstand almost anything, but when a mother publicly says enough is enough, that is a dagger straight to the reputation of a man who relied on her quiet support for years. The question now buzzing everywhere is what comes next, because if this conflict escalates, the possibilities are endless and none of them look good for Martell. Think about it. The public already doubts his judgment. Arionne is furious and volatile. Melody is thriving and no longer invested in saving him. And Marlene is pulling her approval away like a rug beneath his feet. Some are even whispering that government eyes may eventually turn toward his finances if this storm continues, because scandals like this often expose messy money trails. And the last thing Martell needs is the IRS sniffing around when his businesses are already rumored to be under pressure. And if that nightmare scenario unfolds, then the story shifts from family drama to full-blown investigation and nothing ends. Reality TV ratings higher than the smell of legal trouble. The show's producers surely see the opportunity, but for Martell, it would be catastrophic, because once legal machinery begins grinding, reputations are crushed, bank accounts are drained, and families are torn apart more than they already are. The saddest part in all this is that Martell could have avoided the storm had he chosen humility over ego, but time and again his decisions prove that he cannot resist playing with fire, even when the burn is inevitable. And now his mother's refusal to stand by him has opened the door for every critic, every fan, and every former ally to pile on until he is drowning in backlash that no carefully crafted Instagram post can fix. What we are witnessing is the unraveling of a man in real time, not through scripted drama, but through authentic collapse sparked by the one person he thought would never turn her back. And that rawness is what makes the public unable to look away. This saga has become more than a story of one family. It is entertainment, tragedy, and caution all rolled into one. A tale that forces us to ask, how far can pride carry someone before it destroys everything they touch? And as the cameras roll and social media explodes, Martell faces the cruelest reality of all that. Sometimes the strongest opponent is not your ex, not your critics, not even your so-called enemies, but the reflection of yourself staring back as the walls close in and the empire you thought was untouchable crumbles, one headline at a time. So now that we've seen the empire of Martell Holt starting to crumble and the mother who once defended him finally draw a line, we have to ask ourselves the question everyone on social media is asking right now: what happens next? Because when your own mother refuses to back you up, the world suddenly seems a lot bigger and a lot scarier, and the people watching are left on the edge of their seats, wondering if this is the final act or just the beginning of a series of blows that will take him down even further. And let's be honest, family, we all know Martell thrives on attention, but what happens when the spotlight turns into a mirror reflecting all his mistakes, and there's no one left to clap for him, no one left to smooth things over, and no one left to defend the chaos he's created? And that is why your voice matters right now, because the conversation is not over. It is only heating up, and we want to hear what you think about this mother versus son showdown and the rise and potential fall of Martell Holt. So comment below, tell us who you side with. Are you Team Marlene, Team Melody, or still riding with Martell? And while you're at it, make sure to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this is exactly the kind of breaking scandal you do not want to miss. And trust me, there's plenty more drama to come, and you will want to be here when every explosive update hits. So stay tuned, stay engaged, and let the internet know your take, because the story is far from over.